Demona.
So this is then like Gargoyle's ex-wife from. I mean, it's not formally that way, but
This is what Goliath dropped for the Latina.
yes,
Yeah.
for
To be fair,
exactly.
she did go all, let's kill all humans,
Yes,
which turned
I
him off a
mean,
bit.
if we contrast, there's a very nice contrast here. We have two villain characters. Sanatos is like this guy who's more interested in projects, like the bigger ideas, wanting to actualize, cloning, artificial intelligence, immortality, mind control, and so on. Where like this character, Demona, is completely motivated by petty revenge in a sense, and that's like the only. She just wants to kill all human beings, and from a point of like complete irrationality. She's really sort of beyond, and I feel like that's kind of the female aspect coming in without getting too chauvinistic. But that's why I think it's so perfect that this character is sort of a woman who has basically lived for 1,000 years. So I mean, getting into spoiler territory, it's actually revealed. It wasn't just the like the army chief who staged the sort of coup at the Vyron
Mm.
castle. She is actually the main conspirator behind the
Yeah, she wanted to use it to basically force Goliath and the other gargoyles to flee because she doesn't like humans and they wanted them to live by themselves. I think was the
yes, I
reasoning.
mean she has a lot of ambitions that are kind of outside of it, but she has a complete sort of lack of ability to see the world outside of herself. In a sense, like her motivations are completely selfish and all about kind of her pain and her story in a sense. So that's I mean she is not frozen in stone like Goliath and the five other gargoyles. She actually survives, right? Yes, no female usurpers ever. She actually survives, and she has to try to escape the castle with some of these eggs and to try to protect these eggs. And she has like a 5 episode story arc where she goes through like this long explanation of how she got to the point where she is. And I mean, you can see the photo there where she has white hair, where it's revealed that they actually do age, and she gets quite old until she has some type of like curse put on her, that grants her immortality, but also ties her to this other character, Macbeth, up here. That's also like
Yeah,
an
that's the
allusion
one on the
to.
top left.
Yes, and he is in season 1, and it's not really explained exactly what his motivations are and how he knows people, but uh, Macbeth was an actual like Scottish king, both in like real life and in a Shakespeare play and in
Yep.
this kind of Gargoyles universe here.
This
And
one he's just a dude with Scottish descent, isn't it?
yes,
Or
well,
is
no,
he
he
Scottish?
was a Scottish king actually, but he is almost as old as she is, because the
Oh,
kind of,
really?
yeah, they actually work together uh, with some type of pact where she was protecting his interest in his castle and so forth, but they were put into some type of curse where they're basically immortal and they're tied to each other. So the reason that he wants to kill Demona is that he's suicidal. Basically, he doesn't want to live anymore, and the only way that he can die is that if she dies as well. So that's why she's always going after Demona. Of course, she's not the only one, because living then 1,000 years hating human beings, she's made a lot of enemies, including like the hunter that's like on the bottom left here. That's more of like this kind of vigilante persona that a lot of people who have been wronged by Demona at some point take on. So they put on this mask with sort of the claw marks that's representing like how she has basically clawed
Of the guy before them.
yeah, clawed the guy before them. And so it's not only like one guy or a couple of guys, it becomes like this intergenerational thing where it's like,
Right.
well, yeah, she killed my father, so now I have to put on the mask and do the same thing, and then they get killed and their kids have to then come after and try to hunt her, and they keep coming back with more and more advanced technology until it ends in a sort of climax at the end of season 2, where she attains some type of like nuclear device where she can like she try to extinguish kill every human being in existence. And the entire like 3 of these hunters are going to try to stop her from doing that, because they killed her father at some point. So yeah, this character, yeah, it's just like pure destruction, magical, of course. She has a tie to the archmage. That's another villain that exists for a couple of episodes, who is I would like to try to describe his plot, but it's so tied in with this kind of time travel predestination paradoxes that I can't even. I don't think I'm even smart enough to explain it. That's how I felt after watching a lot of this time travel. It's either they just tried to be cool doing it, or they had put some actual thought into how this is supposed to work. Where if you are like an engineer and you can try to map out all of these different paths through time, it'll actually make sense. But it kind of doesn't seem to. It doesn't need to make sense because it is just a cartoon, right?
Yes.
So let's see. So
she's voiced by I forget her name, but it's
it's
Counselor
Diana Troy.
Diana Troy from Star Trek Next Generation.
So,
yes.
No, so her name is Marina Sirtis, I think.
Oh, okay.
That's how it should be pronounced, if I'm correct. Quite attractive as well. Some sort of like Greek heritage. She's a lot older now, but I think she's also a very good fit.
Unfortunately, as most women, she age.
Yes.
But she's also the source of many a great holodeck meme on 4chan. You can look up that in your own time. It's pretty much various characters entering the holodeck and conjuring up extremely specific sexual fetishes using very often Diana Troy and disengaging the safety protocols.
Yes, and of course this is a very sexualized character, right? I mean, you can, even if you just Google the name Demona, you put it in the Google image search, you're gonna find like these cosplayers who are getting into like this really erotic posing and so on. I mean, this aired, before, Web 2.0, high-speed internet. So like the amount of porn that exists of gargoyles, it's a lot less than I expected. But they have like this kind of, well, yeah, I thought there would be a lot more, honestly. I mean, it might sound weird, but you have certain like shows that with like the amount of porn that are created of it, say something like Naruto or something, like the amount of Naruto porn that exists on the web is like, it's just insane. It's almost like this kind of Pareto distribution thing where it's like the 80-20 rule, right?
Right.
So it's like
it outgrows the show itself.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I think so. I think there's probably, like, if you watched all of the Naruto porn, it would take more time.
But I do understand.
I
googled Demona gargoyles, and every sort of cosplay I see is obviously, women doing it probably because they have to, literally be in a bikini.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's a little bit difficult to pull off if you're, let's say, if you're like short and stocky, or you need a specific build to do this character, right? There's not a lot of hidden things about her. And in the outfit, as you see, is skimpy. That's one of the things with these characters, is that they always wear like these really skimpy clothing, and it never it doesn't reveal anything, but it is quite sexually suggestive. It has another dimension.
Well, here you are, Nordanon. Only on the Longhouse.
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation, right? She also has another curse put on her, like, baggage is like a word that I think about with this character, like, because she's like lived as this very selfish, revenge motivated woman for 1,000 years, and she has like accumulated 1,000 years of baggage, including having a curse put on her where she becomes a human being, right? And you can see it if it's a curse or not. But she, in season 2, it becomes in this way that she becomes a human being and during the day, and then she'll be a gargoyle during the night. So she is basically then gets twice the amount of waking hours as these other characters. Right. Even though it doesn't lead to more screen time for her, but it kind of allows her to get into more of these schemes where she can sort of pose as a human being and actually, partake in stuff like, owning property and owning businesses and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if there's if you had any more impressions of this character that we should mention.
No, I think everything has been said or brought up in the chat here about, the female energy and destruction.
Yes, and of course, I mean, like in this show, you see very much that the plots are always generated from the villains, and it's very much the good guys who have to clean it up, right? That's sort of how I see this.
Yeah.
And she is very much by being this kind of chaotic woman who has caused so much destruction, that like this is what creates the plot. That this is why you have a plot in a sense.
It's a bit strange in season 1 because she comes off as a lot more arbitrary than she apparently is, knowing her backstory. But it still checks out with her sort of like, for selfish reasons, trying to convince Goliath that no, we have to do it. I'm killing all the humans for you, right? But actually, she's just out for revenge because she hates humans.
Yes.
Nope. Glow in the dark. I like how Demona is self-centered, but she will never admit it. She always says she did it for others, like they did it to her, so she had no choice. Literally what I was saying.
Yeah, she's just like a perfect written female villain, right? So she has the physical talents, as you can say. She has intellectual capability, but there's just no insight there. There's no world outside of the self. It's always about her and her feelings, even though she has all these other tools to try to process the world. But it just comes back to me and my things. And when you have that kind of like compounded with magic and guns and like 1,000
years of rage,
rage, then it's a great villain character.